Okay, so good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the live trading edition. Right, I don't know why we have a few number of persons here. I should expect that we should have more number of persons, right? So there's quite a whole lot of volatility in the market at this point in time, and I would just like us to try and key into it. We had the news that came out by 1:30. Let me share that screen first. Factory. So if you see it, we had a couple of high impact news that came out on the USD at by 1:30, right? And it came out. We have the average hourly earning of the US that came out negative. We have the non-farm employment change that came out positive, while we have unemployment rates that came out negative, right? So what we'll be looking at is that the dollar might actually lose strength as a result of that. Though we have manufacturing PMI actually come out, manufacturing PMI actually to come out by 3 p.m., right? Manufacturing PMI is come out by 3 p.m. And of course, that's would also still send further sentiment around the dollar. But for now, to take advantage of the volatility, I'm looking at because of the weakness in the dollar, I'm most likely going to be selling off the dollar against other pair, right? I'll be looking at more of a buy position on stock and also more of a buy position on gold, right? I'm more of a buy position on gold. I believe you can all hear me, right? I believe you can all hear me. If you can hear me, you could just give me a thumbs up, right? If you just give me a thumbs up or put yes in the chat session, so I'll be sure that everybody okay. All right, perfect. So I'd want to go to a very small time frame so that we would get a closer entry. I'm going to a small time frame, so we'll get closer entry. So I'm going to start from indices, right? I'm just going to pick the chart according to how they come, right? So I'm currently on US 100. Currently on US 100, we actually had a US 100 range. If you check it on the 1 hour time frame, it actually range. So, but now you can see that price has actually broken above this my resistance point, and it has been buying for a while. So I want to put in my um I want to put in my oscillator, mostly my RSI, to see if price has gotten to an overbought region, right? To see if price has gotten to an overbought region. And yes, though price has gotten to an overbought region, I still see price continue in that buy position for a while. Right? I still see price continue in that buy position for a while, because don't forget what is driving the market at this point in time is fundamental. What is driving the market at this point in time is fundamental. Right. So if I thought I'm going to be going in for an instrument for a stance on my US 100, let's go to that. This is on a 5 minutes time frame. Let's look at it on a 15 minutes time frame, right? So, okay, looking at it, price has gotten to my overbought region, right? And I have, yeah, so what I'd want to do to take advantage of an instant execution, I most likely would want to go in for a sell. I expect that price should actually sell down to this point here. So you could do an instant sell, put your take profit at price level 15591.88, right? So I'm going in for an instant sell at this point. Okay, so I'm going in for an instant sell at this point at price level at the current market price, put my take profit at around there, and then of course I have my stop loss above here. Let me have this red instant execution, have my take profit around this point. Yeah. Okay, I don't know what's wrong with my MT5. Okay. All right. Okay. So let me give this a definite color. All right. So my take profit before the support at around this point. So, but definitely I'm going in for an instant sell. My stop loss above the previous high, above the previous high. So you can put your stop loss at 15671.62, right? But don't forget, this is going to be a short sell, looking at it technically, but fundamentally, the market might actually still push above this resistance, right? But before it breaks above this resistance, I still expect it to come back to test this support point, right? I still expect it to come back down to test the support point. So if you had entered a sell you should be reading in a little bit and looking at your RSI, price has gotten to an overbought region. So I'd want price to decline from that overbought region down before considering another buy. But you could just scalp a sell, especially for those that are going to be scalping. You could do multiple 0.01 sell position, ensure you just target 2 to 3 pips or 4 pips, you're out of the market uh, um, before the market starts pushing up into a buy, right? So same thing for my US 2000 too. For my US 2000, you could see that price is currently being supported on this resistance point at the top here, right? So for scalpers also, there's an opportunity for you to scalp in for a sell, right? Looking at this now, we could see this rejection. There's been rejection, seller's rejection at this resistance point. So I'd want to go in for an instant sell, right? Put my stop loss at the top here, right? I put my stop loss at the top. Okay, so I have my stop loss at around 1919.0. You could have your stop loss above that point. That's above that resistance point, right? So don't forget, this is a fast-paced trade. This is on a 15 minutes time frame. If you go to a 5 minutes time frame, the same thing is playing out. So you're not looking at staying on that market for too long, right? On a 5 minutes time frame, you see you're not staying in that market for too long. You're just targeting most likely 5-10 pips and you're out of the market, right? 5-10 pips and you're out of the market. You want to ensure that you have your take profit somewhere around here, right? But like I said, it's a fast-paced trade and you don't need to wait for price to get to take profit. So if you are using a good lot size, right? So if you're using a good lot size, let's say a standard lot, right, with 5-6 people of profit, you should be out of the market and you're gone, right? You should be out of the market and you've made the profit you need to make for the day. Looking at this one too, price has actually just come on a 5 minutes time frame. You see that price actually just fell off that it just fell off the overbought point and it's coming down to the sell region on my RSI, right? It's coming down to the sell region on my RSI. So I most likely will be going in for sell. Like I said, instant sell. You're not going to stay in the market for too long. Ensure you're out before the market gets to this point, right? If you are using a good lot size, as soon as you get good profit on your trade, you should just it's best you just up out of the market, right? So that's for US 100 and US 2000. You could apply the same thing on other US index like the US 500 and US 500 and US 30. Those ones too should also be going in the same direction. So for GBP USD, the news actually came out with mixed sentiment. 2 came out negative, 1 came out positive, right? But that's why you see overall, comparing it on the dollar index, you could see this major slump in the dollar index. You could see this major slump in the dollar index, and then dollar index got to this support point and started pushing back up, right? Dollar index got to this support point and started pushing back up. And if you notice, I have my trend line here. I have my trend line here marking my higher high, and price has come back down to test this my trend line. So if I'm going to go in for a position on dollar index, right, I'm going to go in for a buy. You could just do a quick buy, an instant buy up until this point here. Like I said, these are short pace trade, and down on you get better entries on a smaller time frame. You get better entries on a smaller time frame. So at this point here, if I go to a 15 minutes time frame, you see it. You can see this seller's rejection. And if this candle closes bullish, you definitely will be having a buy. So you could go in for an instant buy, right? Price is being resisted at around this point here, this zone here, right? But there's every possibility price will break above that point. So you could go in for an instant buy, have your take profit at around 103.599. 103.599. You could have your take profit at around that point. Like I said, you don't have to wait for price to get to take profits. This is the opening of the US session. So you're just going to get that volatility, that boost. You're just going to get that boost that wouldn't last for a long time. So you don't want to be on that trade for a long time. It's not an intraday trade. It's a very, very short trade. You just enter, take as much people as you can, and you're out of the market, right? You're looking at fast-paced trade. You could do multiple and then ensure you close them out instantly as soon as you have good profit on your account, right? you just close out. You're not staying on that trade for too long. So you could have your stop loss just in case you slip. You could have your stop loss below this support point. You could have your stop loss somewhere around here, right? Price was supported around there. So anywhere around this point, you could stretch your stop loss up until 103.271. You could stretch your stop loss up until that point. But I'd rather go in for a buy, right? I'm going for a buy, instant execution, have your take profits before this point here, right? At price level 103.599. So let's look at we're looking at GBP USD before we jumped to US dollar index. So for GBP USD, right, I expect that. So when the news actually came out, we saw the GBP actually gain strength as a result of the news that came out negative for the dollar. So for GBP USD, I'm seeing more of a flat market on a 1 hour time frame. Let's look at it on a 15 minutes time frame, right? On a 15 minutes time frame, you could see this rejection. You could see this rejection on my 15 minutes time frame. So I'm expecting that because of this candlestick pattern, I have a very long seller's rejection, and my current candle is currently forming bearish, right? So you could also go in for a sell, but but this is GBP USD, this is currency, right? This is currency. So is it worth it? I want to know, because of course we'll be going in, we would also be paying spread for this particular instrument. So if I tell I'm going in for an instant sell, I want to see how many pips in profit I'll be making. So from year to year is roughly around 14 pip, right? And I'm paying roughly around 2 pip in profit. So if I'm making 2 pip in profit, if I'm paying 2 pip in spread, and I'll be making 16 pip in profit, I think it's still a fair trade. Right? So price has actually gotten to this support zone, right? So what I would want us to do on GBP USD, right? You could go in for a sell down to this support point, right? You could go in for a sell down to this support point, though price has actually slowed down to that point, right? But looking at it here, my RSI is still giving me hints that price would most likely still fall from that point, right? My RSI is giving me hints that price might still fall from that point. So you could still go in for a sell on the GBP USD. Looking at the weakness in the dollar, you're still going for a sell on GBP USD, right? But ensure you have your stop loss at around. Okay, so you could have your stop loss around there at price level. Okay, this is for a sell. Your stop loss will be at the top at around price level 1.27185. 1.27185. You could have your stop loss around there, but you could scalp a sell. For those that know how to scalp, you could do multiple sells and ensure that as soon as your trade goes into profit, you close them out, and you could do that multiple times and make good money from that, right? It's currency, so you need to use a better lot size. So let's go to Euro USD. For Euro USD, you could also see that for Euro USD, because of the weakness in the dollar at this point, Euro actually gained a boost against the dollar. And we had this very long buy candle, giving us a bullish engulfing, right? So looking at it now, I still expect that these things to still push further up. Though there's a resistance at this point, I still expect this to still push further up. So let's go to a smaller time frame to see that clearly. Okay, so on a 15 minutes time frame, you could see price has actually been buying 1, 2, 3, 4 for 4 candles on a 15 minutes time frame. 1, 2, 3, 4 for 4 candles. So let's see if adding our RSI, we can still key into a buy opportunity. So let's add our relative strength index. Where is it? RSI. So adding my relative strength index. Okay, perfect. So for my RSI, price has approached my 70 RSI level, right? So I could still go in This is dicey because price has actually been buying for quite a long time. Right. Price has actually been buying for quite a long time. And okay, so let's just do a quick confirmation. Let's go to our currency strength meter. A quick confirmation. Let's go to our currency strength meter. So for currency strength meter, let's see. The dollar is actually the weakest currency at this point in time, right? The dollar is actually the weakest currency. Oh, okay, the card rather, but dollar is still weak. Dollar is still weak. Then the weakest is card. So I'm most likely will be looking at the JPY and CHF. So JPY, NZD, CHF, pairing it against the dollar. So if I do that, I'll get a more definite direction. So let's go back to the chart. So if I'm doing instead of Euro USD, I'm most likely will be looking out for for USD JPY, right? For USD JPY, you could see that price has actually approached my support zone. Yeah, price might actually has actually approached my support zone, and on my stochastic, price has gotten to my oversold region. So I'm looking out for a little bit of a retracement from here. So I could take a buy just to trade my retracement, putting my stop loss around this point here. So I could have my stop loss at 144.371. 144.371. I'll have my stop loss at around that point. Then I could go in for a buy, all right, to key into this price retracement. So once price retraces back to this resistance point, then you might see price push back down to make a lower low because of the weakness of the dollar. So I'm trading technically to take advantage of this retracement. So a buy would be in order, and you could do an instant buy execution. And like I said, it's a fast-paced trade. Let's go to a 15 minutes time frame. Like I said, it's a fast-paced trade. Look at it here. You have your so looking at this here, you have this rejection candle and your bullish confirmation candle on a 15 minutes time frame. So definitely I'm going in for a buy. Definitely I'm going in for a buy, right? Up until this point. Up until this point at around price level 145.205. 145.205 up until this point. Then have my stop loss at, so you could do your multiple buy, you could scalp the market as much as possible, but if you're scalping, ensure that you are mostly on a buy position. So for USD CHF, prices, if you're looking at it technically, there's still room for USD to push down to this support zone, right? There's still possibility for USD to still push down to this support zone. But let's also add in our relative strength index. Let's also add in our relative strength index. So adding my relative strength index, you can see price has actually got into an oversold region here. And hold on, let's check. Okay, so if you look clearly, where price is currently is on USD CHF is on a turncoat support. This support used to be a resistance before around the 30th of August, right? And that's why price is currently struggling to go below that point, and that's why price is struggling to go below that point, right? So price is struggling to go below that point. So what I'm going to be doing is for USD I'm going to hold on for that rejection to start off. So though my RSI is giving me that price has gotten to an oversold region and would most likely start to buy from there, I would want this candle, because this is a 15 minutes time frame, so you don't need to wait for too long. Let's look at it on a 5 minutes time frame. Yeah, same thing on a 5 minutes time frame. You're having more of a double bottom here, a bottom one, and then this bottom currently for this candle currently forming now is would serve more as your second bottom, right? So definitely that is a clear setup for a buy, right? But what I would want you to do is to wait for the buy run to start up. So allow this candle to close, and once that rejection is in play, you can key into a buy, having your stop loss at around price level. So let's go to a 15 minutes time frame to get a better stop loss. Okay, so Could bring your stop loss below here. All right. Okay. So you could have your stop loss at around 0.87824. 0.87824. But I'm actually going to be going in for a buy or you could use a buy limit, right? You could put a buy limit at this support zone. You put a buy limit at this support zone. So if price gets to this point, it triggers your buy, and once it gets rejected from that point, you make money from your buy, right? You make money from your buy, right? So that's for USD JPY and USD CHF. Right. So let's also look at which other currency is stronger against the USD. Let's go back to our currency strength meter. So on the currency strength meter, we also have the likes of AUD, right, and NZD. So we'll be looking at USD, AUD USD, and NZD USD. AUD USD. So let's look for AUD USD. Okay, so for AUD USD also, you could see this buy run as a result of the news, right? But it has gotten to this resistance point. So the good thing is that most of the charts are actually bouncing off a resistance point. So it's very easy for you to make decisions based on that, right? So I'm expecting that because there is a rejection here, my current candle is being rejected, I still would want to also go in for a sell, trading that retracement. You could have your stop loss above your resistance point at around this point, and then going for a sell up until this next support, right? Up until this next support. So it's just a retracement. Price has actually been ranging in between these regions. So if you see the pattern, price gets to this point, it comes back down, it gets to that point, it comes back down, it goes up a little, comes back down, and it has gone to test that high point again. So definitely it's most likely going to come down to this point to test this support. So I'd go in for an instant sell, having my take profit, or if you're scalping, you could do multiple sell position down to this support point. You could do multiple sell position down to this sell support point. So I'd be safer on a sell trade than going in for a buy on AUD USD at this particular point in time, right? Because if you look at it technically, and the effect of the news has fizzled out, up on you might get more volatility by 3 by 3 when the manufacturing PMI actually now comes out. But for now, I'm going to be trading the market technically, and my preference should be a sell, right? So let's look at NZD USD. Let's look at NZD USD. Let's look at NZD USD. So for NZD USD, I think same thing too is also in play here. Same thing is also in play. Most of the USD pair actually went against the dollar because of the news. So same thing here. It's very easy for you to make clear decisions because you can see price just bouncing off this resistance point. You can see these two tops here clearly. So I most likely would want to go in for a sell, right, down to this support zone here. Down to this support zone here. I most likely will want to go in for a sell down to this support zone here. Of course, have your take profit above the resistance point, right? Have your take profit at above this resistance point. So for the currency pairs, you should know that you won't be making so much if you're not using a very reasonable amount of lot size, right? Let's say for the ones on dollar index, the one on USD JPY, USD CHF, you won't be making a reasonable amount of money if you don't use a good lot size. If you don't use a good lot size, right? So they are short trades, and I don't expect you to hold on to those trades to the end of the day, right? So looking at this, my NZD USD, you can see you have your inverted amount at this resistance point, you have your bearish confirmation candle at this point here, and then price is currently selling. So I'd most likely would want to go in for a sell, looking at the candlestick pattern. Looking at the candlestick pattern, for those of us that trade with candlestick trading strategy, if you trade the candlestick trading strategy, you would see what I see on this chart at this point in time, right? So that's it for most of the dollar pair. I think we already looked at USD JPY, right? Yes, we already looked at USD JPY. So for USD JPY, I'm also expecting a retracement. Okay, Yes. So we also looked at USD So if you had bought USD by now, I think you would have been in a little bit of a profit. And in as much as it continues based on this chart formation, you definitely will be making money on a buy. So on such trades, what I do most times, I could stack 3 to 4 buy trades and then ensure I close out everything all at once. That way I'm able to maximize my profits on just one entry, right? That way I'm able to maximize my profit on just one entry. So you could stack your trade to make the best of it, right? You could stack your trade to make the best of it. I think we've covered up all the major USD pair, right? That is going to be volatile, right? Based on how they are affected on the currency strength meter, based on how they are affected on the currency strength meter. So let's look at I would have loved to look into D30, but that market might actually be most likely quiet. Right, for our D30 lovers, D30 is looking very quiet at this point in time. But if you check it, we've had a spinning top. I'm going to a smaller time frame now. Okay, I'm going to a smaller time frame on D30. We have our we have our bullish engulfing here, a bullish engulfing with your bullish confirmation candle, right? So I still feel on D30, you could fix in for a little bit of a buy, right? But if you're going to be going in for a buy on this particular listen, your risk to reward will be 1:1 because since you didn't key into that trade early enough, you would have the tendency of putting your stop loss very far, which is below this support point. And the profit you're looking to target is before the resistance point here. So that will be a 1:1. Talking about risk to reward ratio now, you'll be risking almost as much as you are willing to make. But I mean, if you can afford to risk that, you could risk it and make money on the buy on D30, right? You can make money on the buy on DE30. Right. So I think I've covered up all the instruments that is affected by the dollar for today. Right. So I think I've reflected on all the instruments that is affected by the dollar today. Right. So if you have let me look at the chart session. So okay, someone is saying USD card. I think why I'm not going to be looking at USD card is because USD card is a ranging market across all time frame. I've checked it on a 15 minutes, on a 5 minutes, on a 30 minutes, and it's looking like it might still continue to range, right? So I wouldn't advise to trade USD card at this point in time. Yes, I know I was missing one instrument, gold. I know I was missing one instrument, gold, right? For those that are joining, we've already treated indices. We started with indices, right? So gold, yes. So for gold, of course, we have major retracements as a result of price hitting my resistance at the top here, right? So if you're very smart, you could jump into an instant sell on gold. No two ways about it. If you're very smart, you can jump into an instant sell on gold up onto this support point here, up onto this support at price level 1944.17. 1944.17. But don't stay too long on that trade, please, because looking at it, where gold is making a little bit of an upward move. Look at this. Right, that's on a 15 minutes time frame. Let's look at it on a 30 minutes time frame, and this is it on a 1 hour time frame, right? So we are having this this retracement. Right? Most likely, price will retrace back to this point here, right? So it's going to be a short sell. It's going to be a short sell. So you could risk it for a short sell if you have good lot size, right? If you have good lot size, you could actually take that trade or for a sell with good lot size, and you definitely make something out of it, right? You make something out of it. But like I said, this one is also still going to be a 1:1 risk to reward ratio, right? This will be a 1:1 because we didn't key into the market when price got rejected at the beginning here, where we would have had entered at this candle here and then put our stop loss just above that resistance point. But since we did key into that, we might be taking an equal risk to what we are looking to make. So it will be a 1:1, right? a 1:1 risk to reward, a 1:1 risk to reward. So, but nonetheless, I still expect you to go in for a sale. And if you check it here on my Stochastic RSI, my RSI has gotten to an overbought region. So, likelihood of it continuing on a buy at this point is very slim. So, I still expect that my RSI should fall back to 30. I expect that my RSI should fall at least back to 30 or halfway to 30 before it goes into a buy again, if at all it's going to still, if at all it's still going to push up, right? And that's my take for most of the major dollar pair today, and then my indices and gold, my indices and gold. So I'll let's see if anybody has any other suggestion for an instrument. Okay, someone is saying, what should we expect by 3 p.m.? So by 3 p.m., let's go back to our first factory. By 3 p.m., of course, let's dissect it. The previous news that came out, the last time that a PMI came out, it actually came out, the previous actually came out at 4.6 and 4.26. That was what the previous. Now they are forecasting that there should be an increase, right, in the manufacturing PMI at least 46.9. They are speculating that. But if you check it, all the manufacturing PMI from April down up to August has actually been negative. All the manufacturing PMI from April down up until August has actually been negative. And there's been issues with that we've had issues with manufacturing companies in the US and in Europe. I think that spills to Europe. Cost of production now is very, very high because of inflation. So since cost of production is very high, it also affects manufacturing, right? It affects the manufacturing PMI. So I still expect that this should still come out negative for the dollar. I expect that it should come out negative for the dollar, right? Look at the past PMIs. Because of inflation, most of them have been coming out negative. So I still expect that this should come out negative for the dollar. And of course, if it comes out negative for the dollar, we're looking at selling the dollar as a pair and then buying gold and then looking at further buys on stocks, right? Further buys on stock. So if you are taking those short trades, those are retracements. Ensure you are out of those trades before 3 p.m. Ensure you are out of those trades before 3 p.m. Ensure you're out of those trades before 3 p.m., right? And use good lot size so that the little pip you're able to tackle or the little pip you're able to make from those trades will amount to something reasonable for you, right? So that's all I have to say on those instruments for today. Okay, so do have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. Oh. Yes,